What's going on? Play Gaming here, back with another Epic 7 video, and today we're testing out Hwayoung in RTA. We're, I think, ending up like mid-champion RTA. I think we ended up at like 3,500, something like that, because of all the units that we tried testing. But she's a lot of fun. In this first fight up here, the Conqueror Lilias decides to go on the Selene, and we avoid the Vigor attack from the straight. So it allows us to survive and go straight into an attack buff Hwayoung. And so you'll notice that for the most part, every time that we brought her in with an attack buffer. Whether that's Para, Hwayoung, Conqueror Lilias, someone that gives some type of attack buff in order to give us the best shot at one-shotting pretty much any tanky unit. You'll see here, we do have the S3 up with Hwayoung, and we can pretty much pick our target here. So we decided to go on the Conqueror Lilias because we figured that she's probably going to be the tankiest there, and we were able to do about 15k on the S3. And so you'll notice that my Hwayoung is like 12k HP. I kind of struggled keeping her HP low and giving her speed and giving her attack. But you'll notice here, she goes on the Violet. She does pretty good damage on the Violet. No counter. Even if he would have countered, we have immunity and we have a pretty huge barrier. And she reduces the crit damage on herself. So it's going to be tough to take her out in one shot. You'll notice in this next one, nobody focuses her because everybody's focused on Selene. So the Conqueror Lilias again holds on the S3, and it gives us a chance to put up our own attack buff with Hwayoung. And this is another thing that I think if my Hwayoung was maybe like 20 speed faster, she would have fit a little bit better in the team comps that I was trying running her. I tried running her with, because sometimes other units would cut, and then that's usually when we would lose, because then they could strip or control her, push her back, or reset her with her S3. And that's kind of the thing that was one of her biggest weaknesses into Dilbert, or a designer to Lilibet, is getting pretty much reset it. And so that was one of the things that really hurt her. But for the most part, she cleanses on her S3. So as long as she can S3, so if she's silenced or stunned, she can't use her S3, right? But any other debuff, aside from, provoke, she'll be able to cleanse, right? As long as you can S3, she'll be able to cleanse the debuff, give herself immunity, and deal pretty decent damage. You'll see here, we're able to take out the Violet. Even though we have her on symbol, we still miss and do 16k damage. That's kind of insane, especially since our attack isn't that high. So in this one, we don't bring Selene. So this Conqueror Lilias does go with the S3, gets Vigor on everybody, decides to provoke the Solitaria, but we do get some stuns in here that AOL does cleanse, and this is where you'll see that she goes down. I don't know if the misplay here was not going with the barrier and going with the attack buff instead, but even if we would have gone with the barrier, I think this APOC Ravi would have still killed. So dual attacks into her, big damage like that is like one of her weaknesses if the other units go for her. So that's why I mentioned the faster you can have her go, the better it's going to be, because then all you have to do is put up attack buff, and if she can go right after that, you're going to be in a really good spot to one-shot something. In this one, we brought her into tanky units. So we brought in Belian, we brought her into Belian and that Archdemon Shadow, right? So both pretty tanky units, as well as the Conqueror Lilias. So we get a shot here. We get a chance to potentially one-shot one of them, because our Hwayoung will cleanse, will put up attack buff, and then get our choice to one-shot something. So this is where I was like, okay, well, who do I go on? We decided to go on Conquer Lilias, and we do okay damage, 22k on that one, because our HP was slightly lower because we had already taken damage. So you have to keep that in mind as well. If she does take damage before, it puts her in a slightly better position to one-shot or to get up to that, I believe it's 65% difference in the way that her S3 works. So the caster's max health, I think she needs to have like a 65, there needs to be a 65% difference there. If you're able to hit that mark, you're gonna do up to 100%. I believe it's Death Pen, right? Up to a maximum of 100%. So you really want to build her somewhat bruisery. I think defense is the way to go. Maybe like 10, 11k health. We're running her on, I believe, 12k health, just because if you do reforge everything, it gives a lot of health. And some of the subs that we ended up with did have HP, but hey, it is what it is. On this next one, you'll notice we bring in attack buff and vigor buff, so we can do maximum damage, because we were getting cleaved in this one, but luckily we were able to outspeed, stun that summer Iseria, one of the units that I dislike the most in RTA, just because it's so hard to play around that. But we are able to get the attack break. The Celine goes, but she goes into the Fire Feet. Fire Feet is able to sustain because, again, she does have her own damage mitigation. Here, next we can push someone back. We push back the Celine, so that way we try to save our Para, but we do have Vigor. So we don't get the attack buff, but we do have Vigor. So we get a shot here. The only unit that we really need to take out is this Ravi. And even though we don't kill, we still do 18k damage. We still have immunity on our Spec 10A, so it allows us to set up the kill on the APOC Ravi. Even we couldn't one-shot with the Hwayoung, we're able to one-shot here, push back, and then kind of recover after this, and it's pretty much GG. Here in the next one, this one's kind of tough as well. So we're bringing her into someone that strips, so Para, so she's unable to get Vigor buff in this one from the Conquer Liz. So this is another area where she did kind of struggle. If you do get debuffed first and you don't have a cleanser, she's going to be in a bad spot, because even though she can cleanse, unless you have really cracked gear, it's going to be very tough to one-shot something without an attack buff. But you could always soul burn if you have souls. You could always soul burn her S3 in order to cycle faster to get her S3 back up. But you'll notice a lot of dual attacks on their end, and then one-shots to the Hwayoung here just is the last nail in the coffin here. But it's something that she struggles with. You'll see here on the opposing side, the Hwayoung goes into the Mediator Quirk and is unable to kill. I believe she didn't have Vigor or attack buff. So again, something to keep in mind if you are thinking about bringing her in, I would say anywhere, even in regular arena, not just RTA. You're going to want to pair her with an attack buffer, someone that can boost her attack stats just to ensure that you get the kill. If not, you get as close as you can. This Hwayoung really can't do much through barriers. So I also noticed that FCC or right after Conquer Lilias goes, a lot of the damage is absorbed by the barrier, which is pretty crazy. We just survived the Violet in this one with like 100 HP. And you'll notice they don't have any strips on their end. I think that's probably what they were going for. Instead of that Angelica, I think that was a misplay on their part. But no strips on their end means that we'll have our full attack buff whenever our Hwayoung can go. That's why I mentioned the faster you can get her, the better, because then you can just one-shot any unit on the field as long as they're tanky. So again, if we were able to go potentially right after our Conqueror Lilias, we could have one-shot the APOC Ravi. We can soul burn here. So we can either choose to soul burn or save the souls for the Spec 10A. We decided to soul burn just to cycle through, just in case we don't get the kill. We do 21k here, okay? So that's a very, very tanky APOC Ravi. Even though we don't get the kill, we're still able to deal additional damage and then set up our Spectre Tenebria for the kill on the APOC Ravi, and that just pretty much seals the game in our favor. So here she is. We do have her on speed immunity. Hwayoung, we also skipped out on the last awakening because it is an HP awakening. As I mentioned, 3 molas for the -1 turn cooldown. We are missing 20% damage, which I believe would give us like an additional maybe like 2 to 3k damage on the S3. So we might have to max this one out and then use our friendship for the attack increase. Her S1 is actually pretty nice. I think it could work on a counter set if I had the counter gear to throw on her with the same kind of stats. I probably would try it. But here are her stats, nothing insane. 6.3k attack, 1400 defense, 12k HP, and about 223, 220-ish speed. And then everything else is just kind of wasted stats. Of course, this crit chance could go into speed or attack. We do have her at B imprint, but we do have her on symbol. Now, I don't necessarily think that symbol is going to be the best artifact for her, but we have her on symbol because it's a +30 artifact, okay? We have it at +30, so we're getting the max amount of attack that we can from any other warrior artifact that I currently have, okay? Because Uberia's Tooth is probably going to be her best in slot. El's Fist, I think, is another one. If I had +30, I think I have one at +25. So here it is. She does get an increased attack by 10%. So this is, I would say, like a free-to-play Indestructible Gators, right? Which is her 5-star artifact. So she gets a 10% increase in attack. And then as her health decreases, her attack and speed go up to 45% here, what I have. We could definitely max this out, but as you can see, we only get 132 attack. 132 attack compared to the 273. And I'm not too sure if that makes a huge difference, but again, it is going to be pretty tough to build her. This helmet is a feels bad because it rolled a lot into health. And ideally, we would have gotten a lot more speed, but it's 2 speed here. Like I said, 20 more speed, and she'd be in a very, very good spot where, you know, in the position that I want her in. A lot of defense here. We could probably drop some defense and add some more speed here and maybe swap out the crit for something else. But I mean, maybe like, I don't know, what effectiveness or something. I don't know what else we would put here. Effect res. Not too much speed, 14 speed here on attack main, 18 speed on this one, and then some attack on the boots. But overall, a lot of fun. You know, from my initial testing, I didn't think that she was that great. But I'm starting to see now, as long as you bring her in with some sort of attack buffer, she's going to pretty much one-shot or close to one-shot any tank unit. Of course, if you really, really want to max her out, you definitely can, and you probably will be able to one-shot any tanky unit. But that's going to be it for me. Let me know your thoughts about Hwayoung in the comment section below. How did you build her? What do your stats look like? Like always, if you haven't enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hey, think about subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people like you who like content like this. Like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.